Hi, I'm Vanessa Razzo. I'm part of the worldwide SMB Microsoft team. So I'm here today to provide some additional guidance around SEO. So the beginning was getting started, and the next step is how to improve your search visibility, the relevancy and popularity of your site to make sure that you're being found online and that you're bringing in traffic to your website. So in terms of SEO 101, it's really focused around content today. So I wanted to give you an overview on how SEO works, some technical web design best practices. So what you can do from a design perspective, how to avoid any crawlers, making sure that you're avoiding any search engine penalties as part of that, some copywriting, and some best practices around making sure that you're relevant. So making sure you're writing with search in mind and bringing in all of your effective keywords as part of that. And then utilizing link building, so encouraging the off-the-site best practices to make sure that you're encouraging external sites to link to your property to boost that domain strength and make sure that the search engines are finding that content relevant and important and serving up your result within the search engine result page. We have additional guidance coming out soon around SEO 201 and SEO 301. So basically optimizing based off of the building blocks that we'll talk about today. So how does SEO work? So what is it? How does it work? How can I actually boost my ranking within that search engine result page? And really, it's just looking from not only a technical standpoint, but then also around your marketing and the content to make sure that you're found online as part of that. So there's a number of different ways that it's described. It could be called organic search, natural search optimization, and it's really the same thing. It's art and science. It's bringing that in together. So you're higher on the page, and the higher you are in that search engine result page, the more traffic you'll bring to your site. So really every goal of a search engine is to bring in the most relevant and the most useful result. And they've got algorithms to make sure that they deliver the result in how the user behavior is performed online, and then making sure that they're sending their traffic to the most relevant page in terms of all the sites out there. So what they're looking to do is use signals. So there's over 200 Google and Bing utilize, and they make changes every single day. And what's consistent throughout is just making sure they're serving up the most relevant results. So what the crawlers are looking for is the appearance of the keywords that are throughout the page, the number of backlinks to the domain. And what that means is that it's indicating that content is particularly valuable or relevant to even external audiences. Making sure that it's popular within social media, making sure the site performance in terms of page load time is within industry standards, making sure there's a consistent URL structure, and using PageRank and user signals, and there's many, many more as part of that. So in terms of how that's weighed, they're really equal. So there's really not one you should focus on more than the other. They really work in tandem to make sure that your web pages are accessible. So again, making sure that the search engine crawlers or spiders can go through the site and be able to index and rank, making sure that the pages are optimized, they've got the metadata, and each page is unique, and making sure that those pages are optimized using those keywords that you're really targeting to be found online with. How it really works in terms of best practices, it's really around technical pieces, so making sure that it's visible from, again, you've got two audiences. You've got your potential customers that are searching online, and then you also have the technical aspects behind the scenes in terms of those search engine crawlers. So you need to make sure that your site is set up for both. Making sure that your site is relevant. So once they find your site, making sure that that content's engaging and that it drives to a transaction. as part of that site experience. And then also really investing in your content. So people like to share really interesting content, whether it's a video or infographic, and they like to actually link to your site. It really tells the search engine result page that that site is valuable and rank you higher than your competitors. So from a technical web design perspective, there are a few best practices that I want to cover today. So each web page should have a unique URL as part of that. So they make sure that that website has unique content throughout the site and that it's not a lot of duplicate content as part of that. And this gives a lot better ability to actually be indexed and making sure that there's relevant content that's unique on each page. So making sure that whatever pages you're investing in can actually be crawled from a technical standpoint. So some obstacles that create some crawling issues, and if I have an example there on the right where we've got the content, but then you can also see the back-end code behind that. So some areas where the crawler can get hung up is around JavaScript, or if you've got a lot of Flash navigation as part of that, that can create issues. Making sure that you're using internal links again throughout, targeting your keyword phrases, and making sure you don't have a lot of 404 error pages. Again, that can really slow down that ability for that site to be crawled. Some other areas that can cause some penalties and lower you in terms of that search engine result page is a lot of duplicate content. So it can even be around the types of tags that you set up. So a canonical tag actually indicates which page is most relevant. And there could be multiple URLs that someone could find content on. And this type of tagging and this infrastructure actually points to the most relevant URL. So that indicates to the crawler what is the most important page to actually rank in terms of that result. So making sure from a site management perspective that your site manager is implementing that as part of the ongoing tagging. Other ways that you can help the search engines in terms of crawling and ranking your site is an XML sitemap. So again, this is a really quick and easy way to proactively send your site infrastructure to the search engines. So you can submit it through Google and Bing, making sure that you've got that process as well as backup around the crawling in terms of the spiders around your site. The webmaster tools can also give you good insights I shared earlier around different pieces of data that can show you where you might be penalized from a result perspective as well. Other ways to help search engines rank you is around the schema or the information that you're sharing within the metadata. So the more information you have on the back end in terms of that metadata, the better you're actually going to show up and show more product information. You can show reviews, ratings, pricing in your result page. So from a technical design standpoint, search engines really like text. Keeping in mind that humans like a great experience. So they like to be entertained and engaged. So there's a lot of value in video and infographics and engaging content, but that also needs to be mixed in with just simple text so it can be found. And just find that happy medium between the two, making sure that you've got a balance between both. So from a copywriting and relevancy standpoint, there's also a few best practices as part of writing with search in mind. So really, again, the goal of a search engine is to provide the most relevant and useful results. And a way to do that is actually really thinking about how people search, what are the keywords that you want to hone in on, and making sure that you've got the on-the-page factors behind the scenes to make sure it can be crawled and ranked. So writing for search, you need to optimize your content, of course, from a user perspective, making sure that it's engaging, it's interesting, it's relevant, and then it's actually set up on the back end from a technical standpoint so that content can be ranked. A great way to do that is really choosing effective keywords. So really thinking through a visitor, not from an internal perspective, but how would a potential customer actually search and where would you want to be discovered? So there's a lot of really great keyword planners that are available. Some are free in terms of keyword tools, just making sure that you've got a high amount of traffic for that potential keyword. You can actually look in comparison to competitors to see exactly what keywords they're targeting and honing in on. And then also making sure you're thinking about all the different ways somebody could possibly search. Many people use plurals or they use acronyms or synonyms, and just keep that in mind within your keyword strategy. So some copywriting best practices, again, keep in mind there's two audiences. There's your web readers and there's also your spiders to keep in mind. Making sure your copy sounds natural, that you're speaking directly to your potential customers as part of that. You've got clear messaging and using bullets throughout. So another great way in terms of making sure that you can be ranked is using title tags. So this is actually what will show up in that search engine result page. So creating something really compelling so someone will click on that link and go to your site is important. You want to have at least 154 or less characters within that meta description as part of it. And the copy needs to match really closely what's on the page as part of that. And again, using that keyword throughout your copy and making sure that you've got a lot of words per page, so at least 200 is part of that. If it's too sparse, the engine is not in the business of actually sending someone to a page that's really light on content. So maximize that content and part of your content strategy. Another way is to write content for your users first and then integrate your keywords. Sometimes it's a little difficult as part of that creative process to integrate from the beginning. So taking a look where that keyword would fit in. And making sure that you've got some good phrases to send that into context. So, for example, some broad terms like support or IT might have not as much context as small business support or support for small businesses. That way, you make sure that you're bringing in the most relevant traffic according to the content that you're optimizing for, as well as bringing in internal links as part of that. And then making sure your content's fresh. So the more new relevant content on a regular basis keeps the engines happy. So from a content creation checklist, again, make sure you use your title tags, a meta description tag, and meta keyword tag. So this is telling the crawlers on the back end what's relevant and where to rank. Have a checklist in terms of your header, so an H1 and an H2 tag. So this is actually what will be pulled into that result. Make sure that you've got a lot of cross-linking throughout your site. And then having some alternate text around your images, and really that tells the crawlers what that content is in regards, and making sure you've got the text and body copy involved. So some link building and off-site best practices are a really great way to actually boost your traffic in a quick way, and also make sure that your content is being shared and discovered in multiple properties. So in order to achieve some prominent rankings for competitive keywords, it needs to not only be relevant, but also be popular. So more and more in terms of the search algorithm, they're looking for, is your content shared on social channels? Are there multiple sites actually linking to your site? So that actually indicates the popularity of your content in your site. So a really good backlink strategy as part of that is just keeping that in mind as part of your content strategy. So making sure you're creating content not only for the site, but content that can be shared over multiple properties. So really great example of that is having social sharing links. So the ability to share your content online and making sure that the influencers that are part of your community can also share with their community. So Really making sure that you're investing in that content and making sure it's popular over time. So some tactics that you can think about in terms of your link building is just shareable digital content. Again, looking at different nonprofits, social networking, making sure you've got widgets that are SEO friendly, press releases, actually using infographics, creating newsletters, directories, blogging. This is all great ways to make sure that your content is relevant, timely, and also popular. So, just keep in mind, link building is important, but if it doesn't feel right or if it feels unnatural as part of it, then just don't do it. There's been some different sites that have been penalized for engaging in actually buying links as part of that. So you want to make sure that you're partnering with really reputable online sites and making sure that they really do matter as part of that. So with that, thank you very much.